happening, everyone? Happy Friday out there. It's a great day in Hexco, isn't it? Sorry I'm massively late. I did not plan on that. I think it's the first time I've been that late ever, maybe. So sorry about not starting at the time that I was supposed to start. However, I definitely hope to make that up to you with a couple of guests who know a few things about a lot of stuff. So Hedron, PulseChain, testnet, AMA, we got demos, we got magician presentations about stuff I wasn't even briefed on. It's going to be amazing. And let me say hi to the chat real quick. Sorry. Godfather J6, you've been number one in the chat for a long time. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Huge support of the show. Red Squirrel, I know you're in bed right now. Appreciate you coming on. Frosty Dog, number three, man. You're doing it. You're doing it. Yeah, Frosty loves Hedron. No matter what stream I do, no matter what topic it is, he will talk about Hedron, and I like it. I understand. It's a appealing product for sure. Mr. Chuck, I see you have a question about Poly and Hedron and Icosa. We will get to that. I will put it in the queue. Jamie Barker, happy Friday. Yes, it's been a crazy busy Friday, busy week. Amazing week. Testnet V3 is out. If you haven't heard, amazing stuff. PulseChain not canceled. Turns out not canceled. That guy named Richard Hart. He's making progress on that thing that's could bring so much to so many. The Chad of Donner Schwans is here, man. Welcome, Chad. Welcome. Always good to see you. E-Man, good to see you as well. If you're talking to me or the man, the myth, the legend, but appreciate you being here. CP, I like those rockets. I like that fire in those rockets. Power plants, rocket as well. Yeah, sorry, I should have been here 30 minutes ago, or at least 15 minutes ago. So let's have real talk. Mark G, on that note, we're going to bring it in. The real gentleman of the stream. Let's bring him in. Everywhere, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Graphics, you're next. How's it going, guys?
Yo, so good to be back.
The boys are back. Actually, I don't know. Have we ever did a stream just us three? I don't think so, actually. I think we had Sloth on together once, but we never did just us three. I think this particular trio has never happened.
Once. We did 100% uptime once. I had some slides going, graphics jumped in. It was fun, man.
I remember that actually.
I don't
yeah,
recall.
You were going off on
Okay.
I think you were talking about the B-share charts that you had.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Of course. What do I mean? Of course. Yeah.
All right. This is 100% uptime number 18. So there's a couple I might have. Can't keep track of them all, but yeah, you guys only got to keep track of the ones that you appear on. I got to keep track of all of them. So yes, forgivable, right? Forgivable. Sorry,
Absolutely.
It is number 2.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
It is the second time we have tried this glorious mission, and I think it's going to succeed today as well. I just had a bunch of coffee, and I just jumped out of my car, so I'm ready to go. You guys ready to go?
Ready to rock.
I'm ready. Yeah, it's been probably 6 months, right? It's been 6 months. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Since number 1. Yeah. Hi to the chat for a moment again. Steve D, welcome, man. Good to see you. I will see you tomorrow, pretty sure. And LJ Mac. Yeah, we got a lot of rocket ships here. Hexy Girl. Welcome, Hexy Girl. Good to see you as well. Taxi Cat. Some of y'all's names, hello, and welcome. Taxi Kazil. I'm going to call you TSK. How about that? I like abbreviating every once in a while. Steve says he can't wait to hear some Icosa Alpha with the best men in the business. Well, again, I got a Hedron shirt on. Does that qualify me to be one of the best men? I don't know about the knowledge part on the Hedron. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in that ecosystem, but I'm not,
At least best dressed.
I'll take best dressed. I'll take back. When I think of best dressed in the entire ecosystem, I think of Furu Finance, who looks like Furu and Finance LLC loggers, and then I think of Maxim Broadcast, who's got that club tie, looking real nice all the time. So, However, Hedron wise, I'll take it. Actually, PulseChain wise, let me look at that gold chain as well. Got the
Hedron on PulseChain.
My favorite. Hedron on PulseChain. Is that a segue into talking about that at some point?
Oh,
we'll
man,
should be good. I know. I want to start off let's start off with this though, just before we get into, because we got the testnet stuff, we got Hedron again, questions, put them in the chat, all that. However, I had a stream with Gold Key on Monday, which I recommend everyone go watch. Pull Party. They're doing, Maximus is doing a new token, new trustless, set your own staking pools up, that kind of thing. Really awesome name claims going on. Get your own stuff. It'll be NFT. There'll be a third-party market for that as well, or secondary market. And I was talking to him, and I've got a clip coming out about this later on, but you can watch it on the stream if you watch the full thing, about different ideals in the ecosystem. And I thought, well, who better to talk about than the Maximus guys who have like 10 tickers? I think it's literally parties like their 10th one. So I was brainstorming a few ideas with them, and I talked to Dipcatcher about it maybe a month or so ago when we were on the PulseChain stream, I believe. But I wanted to bring this up with you guys too. So might have briefly mentioned this. We might have like kind of talked about tangentially, but are we getting any kind of WAATSA bonds, any like other stuff built on the NFTs? Like, what do you guys think? I brought this up to Dipcatcher and them. He said, maybe there could be some collateralization. I don't know if they'll build it. Don't know if Alex will build it. But have you heard any rumors, anything floating around about building on WAATSA?
GIF, have you heard anything? Because I've kind of been out of the Icosa Telegram a lot lately. I mean, I've had my own thoughts, but I don't know if there's anything that's been actually talked about by like Alex or the community as actual tangible stuff.
Guess like, what can I share? What can I share?
I can't really say anything on that.
There you go.
Sorry.
I'm glad I asked. No, that's your non-answer is an answer, sir.
That's
I'm
so
just kidding.
true.
I'm just kidding. Nobody take that as anything, because I guess like shit. I did not.
Oh,
I was not
yeah.
prepped.
I was not prepped for
this.
that question, but no, don't read in anything. I have no opinion. Let's just leave it at that. So glad
I brought that up. Literally, so
I feel bad now.
No. I'm gonna save it though. I'm gonna save it, Gif. I'm gonna say it. I think it'd be a great idea if somebody did that. There you go. We're gonna keep it at that. For
hey,
now.
What about POW, but proof of WAATSA?
Ooh, so proof of WAATSA. So you would have to use it to get something or enter something. They're like, proof of WAATSA. I'm going to the club and they're like, well, show me your WAATSA, sir. Okay, let me just here's my WAATSA. There you go. There's my signature of or some other way to verify it. So
could have a WAATSA party.
I want to see people buy like parts of it. I'm not going to go too deep in this because I know anyways, I think there's a lot of opportunities to build upon it, and I think that I can't wait till I see the tweet. It's like, we're doing it, we're building on this stuff. If that ever happens, I think that'd be great. So
agreed.
Anyways, I'm gonna hit up the chat real quick to tone this shit back down. Can you tell me predictions for Hedron? Anybody want to take that one?
What's up, Sloth? Sorry, I just wanted to say hi.
Sloth.
I see he's in the chat now saying Max got his content back. Dude, your guys' banter is the best. I kind of live for it, to be honest with you.
It's amazing.
But predictions for Hedron. I mean, we're gonna talk a little bit about Hedron. We're gonna pull up some charts a little bit here in a minute. But if you want to get more specific on your questions, get those in the chat now.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe even the prediction answer. I think you'll maybe hear like we won't say a prediction necessarily, but you'll hear kind of what it points to by what we talk about throughout the stream, because there's a lot of stuff. So you should get an idea of what you could maybe expect over the years, or think of what you could. Why is it so hard to say? What you can imagine Price doing in your own head. There we go.
You got it.
Over the next while. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of coffee too? Like we just both took a couple shots of espresso. You should see it the other day, or see last night. I was like trying to, the W words for some reason. Yeah, they're hard to say sometimes.
It's weird. Yeah, this peppermint tea is kicking my ass.
Dude, peppermint tea is legit. I love peppermint tea. That is delightful.
It's
actually.
Good.
Red Bull Greenberry is DM you on Twitter. We DMs are private. I said hit me up on Twitter, which could have been an @. But they are. You can still, I'll follow you. Just remind me. Can you just @RHMax and then, hey, you said you'd follow me, and I'll follow you so we can DM. But yeah, I thought in general you were just going to ask questions and then publicly people would comment too. But yeah, that should be. I forgot what your question was, but yeah, you can do that. Just scrolling through for a minute again. So big dips of V2 reflection or wells likely like to dump at weird times. Yeah, that was an amazing. Actually, I'll put that up on the screen and we'll talk about that for a minute. That was a 10 million market sale of Hex earlier. It took off 25% of the price, And my response to it was, thank you, because I didn't know if we're going to see 8 cents again. And I was like, so yeah, what do you guys think about that? I'll pull it up on the screen as well.
Honestly, I think that, what we're at right now, we're going to recover a bit and we'll be back to where we should have been. I think that steep spike is the amount of traders and the amount of people that are playing the buy the rumor, sell the news game. And we're going to see this every single time. But what's really, really cool, in my opinion, is how quickly that wick that we saw down to like 6 something cents got eaten back up. And we're now sitting at basically 9 cents, 8.9 cents, just like that. So to me, that's a huge signal that even though there's these traders kind of trying to play the game, we're still moving back up. We're still, everything is set as wanting price, this way, to go up to the right, push that way right now, which is huge in my opinion for sentiment.
Yeah, I think for myself, for a lot of us who have been watching the Hex price for over 3 years now, right? Like the biggest thing for me is seeing volatility. Like that's what I want to see. Like, yeah, we're going to see volatility, the upside to the downside, but we all know what's been taking place over the last couple of years, especially this last year, is more Hex is getting locked up and kicked down the road. It's becoming more and more scarce, right? And so that's gonna jumpstart the liquidity crisis, right? Which is gonna jumpstart the volatility. And when Hex decides to start running, we're gonna have a lot of reminiscing to do from the last bull market. So volatility is fantastic. I don't get caught up on these drops that drop down to 6, 7 cents, whatever, and then bounce back up. It doesn't do anything for me now because I've lived through the big hype cycle, right? So now I'm glad to see this volatility come back because that is what Hex thrives on.
Yeah, I mean, to me, my first reaction was, well, I mean, PulseChain testnet launched, a lot of excitement going into that. Maybe people were buying for that or for otherwise. And then, so my first reaction was, wow, that's an amazing chance to buy at 8 cents. That's what I was going on in my mind. And then the second thought was, yeah, I mean, it ran up. I'm not a TA guy, but it ran up pretty strong in the last few days. So I thought, okay, I imagine we're due for a drop of a little bit. So it didn't bother me at all that it happened.
And there was a rumor going around that there was a lot of people that thought that the snapshot for PulseChain had already happened. So they're selling their assets on Ethereum, thinking that they've already locked up their assets on the other side of the fork. And yeah, guys, that's not how it works. So I don't know if that was a real thing that was happening. I'm sure it happened in case scenarios here and there, but we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one thing that was kicked around. I thought was funny.
I saw that too. That's why I made a tweet yesterday, just setting the record straight as well. I think basically everyone was doing it to some degree. So it was great. Like everyone full on just steamrolled that rumor, which was great.
I like Alex from Hedron said, he said it. So it was like, I don't believe that to be true. However, he said it was like so polite. It was fun. Yeah. I remember that.
Yep.
George, there's so many fixes needed for V3. Can you update the current situation? Yeah, that's a question I want to get into too. So we'll talk about testnet for a moment. What are we missing? What is broken right now, and what is missing right now? That's what I've heard a lot of people talk about in the ecosystem.
Well, okay, so you could go through and you can nitpick the websites and you can say, hey, well, this isn't loading and we had it on V2B. This is missing there, et cetera, et cetera. But what it really comes down to is if you're following all the pushes and the merges on the GitLab, right? They're pushing all the required files, and you can't just push them all at the same time, right? You got to push them in sections, and then you got to debug those sections, right? So as that's taking place, like we know that it's not all there yet, so it's going in an orderly fashion, or what I'd like to think is an orderly fashion. And you can tell because they're pushing them in required segments, right? It says required 4, required 34, right? So they're doing it in an orderly fashion. Yeah, they're still deploying. They're still merging the branches, right? They're still merging into the master. So that's going to take time. So once we start to see that slow down, or when we see a few days without any more of those required pushes, and then things get a little silent, then then I'll start to get excited for sure.
Well,
And where
the
are
two
you
things
seeing all
are-
these updates as well? Is this GitLab, or is this where are you seeing
Yeah,
these updates?
GitLab. So it's funny. A long time ago, I put an alert to get emails every time there's an update. So I was seeing all the updates coming in. Then it was like radio silence, right, for like the longest time. So actually, while you're on stream with Axis and Sloth, I started getting all these pings in my email from GitLab. I was like, "What? Did I get hacked or something? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, all right. There's V3." But yeah, GitLab. GitLab. You could go in there, create an account. You could sign up to get alerts. You actually get a real good idea of what's going on just based on as you see the comments being posted on what's ready and what's not. It's fun to follow along.
Graphics, did you not see my tweet a while back of how to? Yeah, there we go. I found it. You should sign up. Everyone should sign up.
There you
Right
go.
after this stream, I'm going to.
It's exactly as Gift said. I think the morning before, after I woke up, I could barely sleep after testnet launch. By the way, I woke up at like 4:30 next morning. I'm like, oh, I slept that long. I woke up and I checked my email and I had like all these updates from them, pushing all the branches and stuff
From
on GitLab.
Shane. Yeah, from Shane, which is awesome.
Yeah. And they were just making a lot of the different clients and stuff available. And what else? Yeah. So even today, I saw some more updates of different stuff going on. So if you sign up, you can kind of keep up to date. You got to look at the request. You kind of got to know what code looks like or how certain things work before you can actually understand if this is meaningful or like what this has to do with, or is this signaling something else to come. But yeah, totally easy. You just go to get a GitLab account and then go to PulseChain.com, turn on notifications to watch to all the repos. And you too can be an insider for PulseChain updates, the public ones at least. Not all of them. You won't get the private ones that they don't make public, but you'll get the public stuff at least.
Sweet. I'm on it.
Yeah. So, but as far as, because I know when it first launched, there were some transactions were failing on PulseX, and then the buy and burn was missing. So I think, have you guys, what, I guess that's the question. Have you noticed things not working or missing or stuff so far playing with it?
So I've noticed like small things, just like maybe like a transaction here and there, just taking either like a long time or something weird happening. But it's like a one-time occurrence usually. It's not like a repeated thing that I've found. It's not like it's the same error over and over. Like I get one failed transaction and then it never seems to happen. It hasn't happened again. So I mean, that's just my findings, but so far, yeah, we're missing a lot of features on PulseX. But I mean, the thing is too, is we don't see the majority of changes that are under the hood. We don't see what's actually gone on to the infrastructure. We see the front ends. We see the interfaces that we are supposed to interact with. We don't see all the stuff that happened. So this whole idea of like, oh, it's the same as V2B. Well, it's like, maybe the interfaces look like it, but man, like, no, it's so different. Like it's PulseChain 2.0. It's not PulseChain anymore. It's literally PulseChain 2.0 because the first one was scrapped to get out of the way for the better tech that we're now using underneath. So while you can't see it necessarily, it's there. And these pieces that are missing, they may take some time to do, but like they're relatively small in comparison to the amount of work that's had to be done to get it to where it is now. So we actually are close.
Yeah,
Well,
and for like you gearheads, like think of it like this: like you've built your old school muscle car, right? And it's chugging along, and you're like, oh crap, I need to replace like a camshaft or something. You gotta pull the whole motor apart, pull it all apart, blueprint it, get it all back together again. So this is just a process of rebuilding it back together again with the updated code. So it's gonna be a process, and just enjoy watching the work being done because it's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me wake everyone up real quick. So V3, the public V3, that's what we have. That's what we're playing with now. There's a private, just by nature of how this stuff works, there is a private, I don't know what we call it, mainnet. There's a private mainnet that the devs are working on right now because Richard said there's no more testnets. This is testnet V3 and next is mainnet. So what are the devs working on right now? They could be pushing updates to the public testnet V3, but also you got to imagine, with my developer hat on, there's a private network, there's a private code base and stuff that they're working on to get ready for mainnet. So there is a private devnet, I guess you could call it right now, where they're working on stuff and prepping for mainnet implicitly, So just it's fun stuff. If everyone's like, oh, private testnet, public testnet, all this stuff, yeah, there's a private mainnet, if you will, right now as well. They may call it devnet internally.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone awake now? Mark G, fluffy socks. Yes. Our friend Somi, he don't like crumpled slippers. He likes the fluffy socks. He likes orange juice with at least 8 to 10. I would like to think the circular. You guys know the circular ice cubes, the one that they're really cool. Like you can, they're spheres instead of cubes.
I'm not that bougie. I've never seen them.
Man, there's some refrigerators that make them. Blows my mind.
That's
I saw one the other day. It's not just for the rich anymore. You can have one too. You can. You don't need your PulseChain sack money for that kind of fridge. You can buy one. Anyways, just scrolling through. Yeah, what's up, Hex Edits? Shout out to you and your awesome work for so many different things. Sloth, can you give me a Hedron friend? Hey, Sloth. Yeah, that is kind of me with a lot of stuff. It's like somebody asks a question, and I'll be the person that can give you a little bit of information. There's somebody to the screen beside me that can give you almost all the information. Yeah, I'm going to ask them. I'm going to direct it towards there. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Sloth. Anyways, yeah, our banter never goes away. I'm going to keep signing them up for this free VPN subscriptions though, and so he keeps getting those emails. He needs to stay safe. Stay safe out there, Sloth. Stay safe. What's up, Ben? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Did a security AMA with Ben last night. Fantastic stream. Highly recommend everybody to go watch that. If you don't want to lose money on PulseChain, a lot of great tips, a lot of security alpha, if you will, that's in that stream. And we demoed how to use. Ben was doing how to use the hardware wallet with PulseX, do transactions, all that stuff, and then a lot of other deep things we went into: virtual machines, password managers, antiviruses, why Mac is better than Windows, all that stuff for security. Sweet Aussie. Maybe we should start with, actually, hold on. Yeah, what do you guys want to do? You want to do testnet first? You want to do Hedron stuff first? That will tell me which questions to post as well.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Maybe let's warm everyone up. Let's warm the brains up because the Icosa stuff and what we get into there is maybe heavy. Let's warm everyone up with like the PulseX stuff and start going through.
Sounds good to me, man. If you want to, if you got something to share graphics, feel free.
Yeah, I'll toss up the right tab here. Sweet.
Boom.
Ta-da. So here we go. Yeah. What do we want to start? Like, it looks great. It's basically it's the same thing we're familiar with. Obviously, yeah, you can see like missing the limit orders. We don't have all the links to like the sacrifice checker to the pulse ramp bridge because the pulse ramp bridge isn't out yet. Yeah, everything works really well. Like even I don't remember this even being there from V2B where you can go and you can actually click on the MetaMask logo or whatever logo your wallet is, and it will try to add tokens to your wallet. Like that's new. That's cool.
Yeah.
One thing that would be really cool, I don't know if any of the devs would ever see this, but what would be really cool is if I have ink selected here, I can't actually click the MetaMask logo again. So I'd have to click another thing and then come back in here and then I can click it. It'd be really cool if that was just always available, but it's a small thing.
I know when I clicked on it the other day when it first launched, we went to liquidity pools and I didn't see any. Is there any pools now or anything changed on that?
Let's go pools. No pools. Farms, I doubt there's maybe one, but yeah, there is
one.
There's no liquidity because nothing's been bridged over. So there's technically no liquidity, $0 value in liquidity. Which I'm sure the APR is based off of the fees and the trading and the liquidity. So then if we go to info, like this is all going to be like this will all have a value. I think my understanding of it is that when the bridge happens, like, cause you can see everything has $0 value in it, even though like if we go in here, I'm pretty sure there is tokens. Yeah. Like where is it here? You can see the tokens somewhere in here. Can't remember where it is, but basically this will all change. This will all get a dollar value once there's a bridge. Once I don't know what testnet they're going to use for this from the Ethereum side, but because Rinkby's down, or is it Gurley?
Well,
is it
Guerrerly, yeah.
Guerrerly?
Maybe I can add a little insight on this one. So this testnet, this V3, this more than likely will be like the permanent testnet for PulseChain. So like just like you've got the Ethereum testnets, right, where people can go test their products out and make sure that everything's working right before they actually go to mainnet. This could very well be the permanent PulseChain testnet. So these prices will be calculated in with a USD stablecoin that isn't really worth anything. So you'll see outrageous prices on everything. But the plugins for any of that has not been connected yet, it appears. So for the time being, it's just going to be blank until they start injecting all the plugins. Then we'll start to see something that looks very similar to what we saw on the V2B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So really, it's nice and simple and clean right now. I mean, you've got liquidity, which you can add liquidity if you want to here. So it's adding a pair of tokens equally in their value to one pool, and your LP tokens, which you can then take those LP tokens and go to the farms section here and make a little bit more yield on the over and above what you make for the LP liquidity providing. But really, other than that, I mean, it's nice and simple right now. It's actually like, as much as it's nice to get everything up and running, it's kind of cool for the newer users to not have so much at their disposal right now. Simply just for them, like there's so little to work with and navigate and try and figure out with all the different pages. For those people, it's actually best case scenario right now. There's so little to learn and focus on and get down.
So for the ratio trading, everyone says, okay, ratio trading before there's a bridge, all that stuff. Is this what we're using to practice with ratio trading? Is this what we need to get familiar with using PulseX for this stuff? Can you maybe explain that?
Yeah. So the ratio trading, this is a perfect example of, I don't have any tokens in this wallet. Hold on, let me switch wallets. I think I actually have some in my other one. But essentially one sec here. Let me just switch wallets. I'm apparently not good at multitasking here. Okay, we're good. So the ratio trading, now there's this little button here that at the top right of this interface, you can press and it brings up a chart, and it will also bring up the ratio of Pulse to PulseX at the moment. And one of the things that I had noticed just based on messing around with it the last couple of days is that different pairs bring up different prices for the same token. So what this is showing me is that, at least from this, if we're taking anything from this as a statement of what will happen in the future, especially for ratio trading, was because there is no dollar value in this right now. There's no point of relativity whatsoever. So prices for one asset seem to be all over the map. And this is where I'm been stressing to everyone I come into contact with. It's be careful. Unless you have some genius way of tracking all this and knowing exactly why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to make a mistake, even if it's a small one. And that small mistake could set you back months to get those gains back. It's so hard to understand what you're doing when you don't have that point of relativity. Everything is out of whack and out of sync. And it's just better to play it safe and wait until that point of relativity comes in and you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I'm trading for. I know the exact ratio. I know the prices. I know I'm getting a good deal or a bad deal, and I can either make a move or not make a move and be certain about it at that time.
Yeah, and let me just add something real quick to that, just to kind of drive that home. There was something I noticed as soon as this testnet, this new version popped up. As I was watching people set their liquidity pools, when they were the first ones setting them, they were making huge mistakes. And this is where you can get wrecked as either a liquidity provider or somebody making the trades. Is when you go in to set that liquidity and you're the first one, you're setting the ratio, right? You're setting up that ratio of how many coins of A are going to equal coin B, right? So some of these guys who jumped in and they were the first ones to set the liquidity pool, what they did, especially with the tokens that have a lot of zeros in them, like Hedron or like communists, right? Those two, they went in there and they got them backwards, right? They got them backwards. So all the zeros were on the higher valued asset and not so much on the lower valued asset. So that wrecked two people at the same time. It wrecks the person providing liquidity, right? Because they're getting a horrible ratio. It's literally inverse of what it should be. And it wrecks everybody who's trading on that pair, right? So that was just one example that you want to keep your eye on. If you're going to be early, right? You know, the community has their advice on that, and I would heed that advice. But if you are there, keep in mind, people make mistakes and they set those ratios in the inverse, which can get you wrecked real quick.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
I just want to ask you, just to make it clear to everyone watching. So when the pre-bridge launches, so PulseChain launches before the bridge, we're going to have access to PulseX to do ratio trading. That's how you're going to do it, right? That's the process. Because everyone's like, every time I hear somebody explain ratio trading, they're like, yeah, there'll be a pre-bridge, and then they never talk about how to actually do it. Like, yeah, you'll just like we're looking at now, except we'll be on mainnet, and they'll have ratios and not dollar values because there's no bridge yet. So just want to be clear to everyone out there. That's why that's why you need to practice. That's why you need to play a test net, get used to trade. I mean, it's like Uniswap, right, or Pancake Swap. So if you know how to trade, but the ratios, as the two guys are talking about, the ratios you're going to be getting set by LPs, set by different players. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if there's going to be mistakes that would be advantageous for people to buy, and is there inverse type of things like Gift said?
And sometimes they're not a mistake either, guys. Like, you could just look at new launches of tokens that launch on Ethereum every day now. And whoever the first person is to set that ratio, they could set the ratio to make that token extremely expensive. But you just wouldn't know that unless you are really deep into this stuff, right? You would just go and say, oh, this new token launched, let me buy up a bunch. And you buy up a bunch, and next thing you know, it goes down 99.9999%. And you're like, what just happened? Like, what the crap? Well, somebody intentionally set that price at a high level so they could extract a ton of value right at the beginning. So that happens right now, almost every day on the Ethereum network. So keep in mind, that's going to happen on PulseChain too. There's no way you could stop that. You just have to be vigilant.
It's a great point.
And there's a lot of charts. You can go out there and look at the charts and look at the launch day and look at the launch price and then look at where it's at now, right? Or where it traded at moments later. Like it's all there. It's all on chain.
Yeah. Anything else on? Let's see. I'm just looking for ratio trading questions too while we're on this. Gift. Sloth, you trolling Gift now. Don't troll my guy.
You're trolling me now. Me.
You take it out on me, Sloth. Okay. I'll be the brunt. I'll be the brunt of that force. Okay. I'm gonna double those VPN subscriptions for you, man. Any questions on ratio trading? I feel like that's something good information you get out there that it's just so like all these concepts. They just until you show somebody, you actually show them a picture, or you demonstrate, or you tell them what they're actually going to do, or it's just like this abstract concept. So I'm glad we could actually talk about it.
I want to ask you guys here, because I've been thinking about this, and I think maybe there is one scenario where it actually does make sense to potentially, not does, but it may. There's a possibility, if you know what you're doing, it could actually make sense. And that's the whole conversation of stablecoins, because the stablecoins that are getting copied over to PulseChain are not going to be backed by Tether, USDC, or any of these other centralized entities. And so they're basically short-term throwaway coins that are going to eventually go to zero, or they're going to drop so much because they have no value on the PulseChain versus their Ethereum counterpart. They're non-redeemable. So I would love to know what you guys think about stable coins being maybe the only thing that you utilize in this ratio trade if you are deciding to hold it, and what you guys think the timing of that be. I have my own thoughts, but I really want to hear what you guys are thinking as well.
So I'll go first because I'll be quicker, I think. 2 points. One, I've been clipping a ton of vintage RH videos, vintage and notable ones over the last 1 to 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And the last couple of years, I've came across many, many clips and I've got them scheduled to come out at some point, maybe in the next few weeks or so, of him talking about people asking about stable coins on PulseChain, him giving different answers. And what I found was interesting was, people say, oh yeah, they're not going to have value, obviously. And I don't quote me on it or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I got the gist of his responses a lot of time were, how do we know they're not going to have value? What if it provides liquidity? What if they bond with different stuff? What if, and now we have, so that point gets me into PulseX stack address, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is the largest holder of DAI in the ecosystem, number one. And what moves are they going to make? Are they going to make any moves with liquidity? You could talk about PHEX, EHEX parity, all that stuff. But the stable coins, if you're the largest holder, you got some power. You're probably able to make some moves there if they wanted to. And how nuts would it be? Again, Richard's mission is glory. If he's here to protect Hexskins and Pulsekins, if his whole thing is success for the project, how insane would it be if not that stablecoins wouldn't be redeemable, because he said obviously not redeemable because they're on another chain, the company's never going to honor it, blah, blah, blah. Obvious point on that. But them having value versus being redeemable, two different things. That's what I'll say on that.
Yeah, very interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a wild trade, like you said. It's not gonna be worthless, but it's also not gonna hold any sort of a peg, right? And once you see stablecoins lose peg, I mean, I can't get further away from them, to be honest. So, I mean, everybody's gonna have their strategy, and I hope people do it the right way, but I don't know what way that is to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think there necessarily is. I think it's just something to consider. And I think there's two tiers of stablecoin, in my opinion. There's DAI, the decentralized one where they have a protocol where, there's the OA or the SAC wallet has like 270 something million DAI or more now. I can't remember what it is. But they have, I think they're the largest holder in DAI at the moment. And so they themselves, I mean, this is not going to happen necessarily, but with the allocations of tokens they have, I'm wondering if they alone could, depending on what, I don't know what the DAI protocol allows for collateral, but assuming that, they have an absolute ton, there's a potential to have a ton of pulse from an entity within the ecosystem, to back those dollars. Maybe DAI is is the odd one out that actually maybe assists in the other stable coins holding some peg. But maybe it's also the only one that actually starts out and holds its value relative to the other stable coins. That's kind of where your thoughts lead me there. And I'm not sure if I'm 100% on the right track, but it makes me wonder.
I think there's two options for stable coins other than, the community projects like Liquid Loans and Power City and those sort of things. The two options in my mind are, what if crazy idea. I have nothing to back this up, but other than just, again, the stuff I've heard Richard talk about before and about these type of topics, and what I've seen with, PulseX SAC being the number one DAI holder. What if DAI, maybe it doesn't hold a peg, but maybe it holds some sort of value. Maybe it's not $1, maybe it's $0.50, maybe it's $1, whatever it is. What if that becomes some sort of stable coin or some version of a stable coin that gets used? Or Richard creates the next coin is a stable coin. It's not the wallet. It's a stable coin. Maybe that's the next project. Those are two thoughts I have on that.
Well, I think at the end of the day, they're still going to have to compete with the wrap version of the stable coin that's brought in from Ethereum, right? And there's just not going to be any competition. Like being able to grab a wrapped version, bring it across the bridge, and actually be able to redeem it, that kind of value is just not going to dissipate, and you cannot really compete with that too well. So
sorry, those are the three options. I didn't even. Yes, of course that's the number one option outside of the bridge stuff. What if DAI has some value? Or what if Richard starts a new stablecoin? Yeah, great point, Giff.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's up next?
Yeah.
Anything else? Show us graphics you want to play around on PulseX or anything else on the testnet side that's interesting?
Let's see if there's the block explorer here. This is one thing that I did talk about in a video release today. I think it's actually really important. You can go to the block explorer, and I'll show you how to do that in a second here. But let's say you're looking for a token and it's not one of the main ones for whatever reason. You're just looking for something else. And we'll go to Hedron just because why not? But you click on the token because you can search it in this bar. Then you can click on it and it'll bring you to the main page, which will show you the volume, liquidity, the price, the trading pairs, like everything. And it'll also, if you click this view on Pulse Scan here, it'll bring you to the block explorer where you can then get the token address to then add this to your wallet if for whatever reason you're not able to add it in another way. But here's the thing. If you go to the block explorer and you just click on, and you're just here, if you type in PLSX, look how many PLSX tokens there are that are going to come up, right? If you stick to the exchange here and you type in PLSX, there might be a bunch of different ones, but you're going to be able to go and you're going to be able to look at the liquidity. You're going to be able to go verify with the price. You're going to be able to have actual parameters to verify that this is the correct token that you're looking for, and then be able to click, okay, that's the right one. I'm going to go to Pulse Scan, and then I'm going to click, I know this is now the token address, copying it, boom. You know it's safe. You're not accidentally pasting in some scam into your wallet, because, I mean, I would be willing to bet that when Mainnet goes live is going to be the birth of like the White Walker army in terms of like scammers. You know, like we're going to see everything possible come up to try and get people's money because of how much it's talked about that gains and X's and once in a lifetime opportunities and how many new people are going to be coming to this space. Like, it's so important to know what pathways to stick to and to literally put blinders on when it comes to making the right decisions click-wise and where you're getting your information from, and so on. So I think really right now, that's like the biggest thing to take away is knowing how to use this tool to keep yourself safe.
Yeah, even I saw a tweet too that was looking at different Ethereum. Even on the Ethereum side, there's Hedron, there's Hedrons with an S, Hedrons, 2 S's. There are tokens out there, name stuff to try to trip you up and get you to trade them and give them value. So try not to do that. Try to check your addresses and check your names of the tokens as well. And yeah, PulseChain. Man, I hate to see people get ripped off on this stuff, but I know they're going to be coming for. I know PulseChain people. There's a lot. You know, it's $2 billion of equity getting unlocked, right? So they're going to be out there trying to get some of that.
100%. I just want to show quickly what I was saying with even I realized I couldn't show the block explorer through the tab I had, but look at this. Even PLSX. I type in PLSX to the block explorer, I get 8 different results. PLSX, 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 PLSX.
I wonder if they'll make it
only the
PLS
beginning.
EX. Will that be a PLS EX? PLS EX. Da-dump. I just want to see that when somebody's tapping in, like, there's a new token. There's a I should click on that one. That one sounds sexy.
Oh, I mean, it does.
It does.
Okay, I'm getting off the screen here, but yeah, that's my thing. I think the most important thing for testnet right now.
That's great to note too. Gift, you had something?
To show? Yeah.
No, I mean just in general. I was just I thought you were looking up. I thought you were trying to get in for a sec.
No. All is good.
Okay. We will. So let me go through questions, say hi to the chat, and then we'll go on to anything else PulseChain testing you guys want to talk about, and then on to Hedron ecosystem.
I think I'm good.
Good job, graphics. That ratio trading demo lit. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
Might just get clipped. You know, never know.
Okay. I won't hold my breath.
Yeah. It's I tend to get GIF knows. I think GIF may have been clipped more than any other person on this entire channel. He used to show up pretty regularly, and
appreciate
got like
that.
50 clips on the channel.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard it used to in there.
I didn't. Did somebody say that? I don't remember that. Who the F is Gifford? He's the gentleman on top, to the top right there.
Yeah, he's being facetious.
You know that Pulse player? Sound familiar?
Oh, I just know that quote. That's that he explains it later.
Oh
on.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
What's up, Firefighter and 82? Did I scroll up? I thought that was oh yeah, let me get to there's a couple questions I told him I was going to get back to. Let's see. Degenerate 6. Yo, does anybody know if you do any trades on PulseChain testnet, when it goes to mainnet, those trades still be active, resetting your mainnet wallet? I think I translated that correctly. Who wants to take that?
Well, they're two separate networks, right? So, and they will always be two separate networks. So anything you do on the testnet stays on the testnet. And then obviously when the fork happens, it's forking Ethereum 2.0, right? So all the database that's on Ethereum 2.0 will then be forked, and you will see all your copies onto PulseChain. So anything you do on testnet will forever be on testnet.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Sloth, I knew that answer. I was just scrolling through chat, okay? I knew that answer. I knew it. I just pass it off, okay, for other expertise sometimes. Cheers, everyone. What's up, dude? Who dat?
Who dat?
Great to see graphics back in action. I know.
Thank you.
Love it.
Absolutely.
So it's great to be back.
If you only had about 150K hex and not much money, would you trade some hex for a billion Hedron? Is that just like a calculator question?
No, I think it's a diversification question, probably.
Does Sloth's website solve that?
No, he's just asking if he should diversify some of his hex into Hedron for, just to have exposure. And right. I mean, this kind of goes along the lines of, financial advice sort of a thing, which I do not give, right? And we don't do that. The only thing I would mention is that, it's one of the clips that you actually clipped of what I was saying a while back. It is when we were really deep diving Hedron and Icosa, right? I would say, I really love Hedron and Icosa. Like I really do. I think the game mechanics are amazing. But at the end of the day, it's hex that's going to melt faces. Like it for real will. And Hedron and Icosa, it will play its game and it will play its part. Absolutely. But if you don't have your hex bag yet, I mean, we're running out of time.
Yeah, totally misread that question at first. And I do remember that clip. That's a great clip about, I think, especially when people know, they may know you or other people as like, oh, Hedron guy, Icosa guy. Everything goes back to hex. You ask them what their favorite coin is. You ask them why they're here. They're probably going to say hex. There's not a lot of people who came here and just went straight to Hedron and like that's their thing. Hedron's amazing. We all love it, but we know where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Anyone even in my family that asks me that I talk about Icosa or Hedron with, because I mean, for myself, it's like they're fun. How complex they are and the amount of edge cases there are and the amount of possibilities and what it could do for this, that, and the other thing. It's cool, and it makes the brain work. And it's fun, and it's also an opportunity potentially. But yeah, for everyone that I talk to, like family, friends, it's like it always comes back to hex. It always does, because that's like the racehorse, the OG racehorse. That's you don't want to bet against. He wins every race you put up against anyone else. And it's just the safest bet, we know hex is the reason why we're all here, why PulseChain exists, why PulseX exists. It's like you said, it just comes back to hex.
I think the only super interesting thing that came out of the Hedron, Icosa, the whole ecosystem that I never thought would happen is I don't know when I'm ever going to unstake my stuff. I think about it. I'm like, I don't think I want to unstake. It's too good. It's too good of a product. So I never thought I would be like, yeah, I'm just going to leave it in forever. Obviously, I'm probably not going to leave it in forever, but like in my mind, I'm like, I don't even want to think about it. I just want it to keep earning yield and I don't have to take it out. I'm not getting penalized. I don't even think about, when is it going to come up so I can sell it? I'm just like, it's like the last thing on my mind to sell because it is the money printer that's burning the fastest as far as like the money printing thing. Hex, maybe it appreciates the fastest in the next few months, but not financial advice, no idea. But as far as money printers go, Hedron, Icosa, WAATSA, I don't know when I'm going to trade them in or unstake them even. It's one of those things I never thought about.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't even have to. I mean, like the fact that you don't have to buy Icosa and Hedron to participate in it. You just have to get Hex. And then you get your Hedron for free. And then you get your Icosa for free. And then you get Icosa and Hedron from that Icosa. And it's like, why? I mean, you don't have to participate in it directly to participate in it and reap the rewards from it and just compound your gains. It's an amazing system.
It's almost like it's not quite an airdrop, but it's almost like one of those, it's like you're minting airdrops almost. I feel like there should be another term for this, like you're minting airdrops.
It's almost like
you're mining
airdrop.
Yeah. Proof of proof of participation airdrop. Pop AD. There we go. New terms today.
Yeah, and just as a side comment, and this is a very underestimated fact that, if I could just pump Hedron or Alex in particular as a developer just a little bit, because this is something that not a lot of people talk about. But for all those who have gone on to the Icosa DApp and you have unstaked your Hedron or Icosa after you've done your minimum time served, right? Have you not noticed how low the gas fee is to do that? I don't hear anybody talking about that. And yet he has solved the issue that Hex has been fighting for a long time. The whole reason we're seeing Pulse coming, right, is because of the gas fees. And look at how much gas you spend when you end a year stake, right? Because of the write to file or write to disk function, right, where it has to calculate every day and add it all up, right? When you're talking, and I don't want to go too far outside my wheelhouse, right? I'm still learning dev. But what is happening is when you go and you do any sort of transaction on the Icosa system, it is putting out global information so that when you go to unstake, you don't have to calculate all your yield you've gotten on every day up to the date that you unstake. And it just uses the global information. And that sort of innovation is, once again, you've probably heard it from me way too many times, but the guy just innovates so often. It's crazy. And this is just one of those innovations that nobody really talks about. And he has solved that gas function. And even though you could let it just run past the 30 days or 90 days or however long your minimum stake length is, the cost to unstake and restake your interest to kind of compound your yield is not costly. So it's pretty sweet. Kind of like what's saying there about compounding is good to do.
Yeah, I'm not putting up any more comments from Sloth. He can go stay in the chat right now. No, I just want to say that I mean, Alex is we're going from Hex is better to Alex is awesome to while we're on that, I'm going to say that my favorite developers in the ecosystem are Hedron guy and Maximus guys. That's my guys. I love no sacrifice. Nothing against people who do sacrifice phases, but I just have so much respect for people who don't need to do sac phases with their products. I think that is amazing, and they create stuff that just makes the ecosystem so much better. And there's nothing in it for themselves other than they become the greatest men they could possibly be on their own merit. I think that's amazing. Just wanted to answer this, and we'll go on because I haven't scrolled down for a while. But Polymax facility gets heard something about taken. So Poly turned into, instead of a executor bidding on auctions and being backed by HSIs, it turned into a big old trustless Hedron stake, which is awesome actually. And like that could have been another project they could have done anyway. So Poly still a way to get the Hedron Icosa. Was that ever a way Poly could get Hedron Icosa? Because you were trading your Hedron for Poly back then, I think. So anyway, I wanted to address the bug part, but then do you guys have anything on Poly as a way to get Hedron Icosa? I don't think that's a thing.
Not Hedron, as far as I mean, technically, because there's as last I saw, I'm not super up to date, so I can't remember, but there might be a bit of a discount on the price right now, and because the SA burnt, or I can't remember how. Gif, you probably are really good at the just explaining this story. I can't remember exactly what happened, but the
SA burned it for a premium, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And so it gave people a boost in what their redeemable Hedron is with their same Poly tokens. And Poly, last I saw, was at a discount. So, I mean, technically, you know, if you're going and buying today at a discount price, when there's like another percent added on top for everyone that basically every Poly is, as of today, is redeemable for more Hedron than originally it was supposed to be, just because of what the SA did. So between that and the discount, technically it's a way of getting more Hedron, but really it's mostly focused on the Hedron staking and getting Icosa from the stake for 15 years.
So it's 15 years. That's what I was going to ask. Okay. So technically get Hedron, Icosa. Yeah. In 15 years, you can get at least Hedron, but not like immediate. I don't think it's any immediate stuff, but you have something on that.
Yep.
So some of the Poly was burnt by the Hedron flow address, and that caused 1.2 ratio of redeeming Poly to Hedron. But also, let me show you something. I'm just going to jump into what I wanted to show, because this is just relative, right?
Let's do it.
So can you see that okay?
We can now.
Okay, so this is Impersonator. And this is just kind of a cool little tool. We're just having fun here. So that's all we're doing, right? But this is the tool that's been around for a little while, and some people have known about it. And there's a lot of people that I'm surprised that don't. So here's something cool we could do with Impersonator. So what we could do is we could plug in the address we want to impersonate. So let's plug in the Maximus address, right? So here's the Maximus. It's super easy to remember because it's got data on the end there. Whenever I see that data, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Maximus. And then what you could do is any Web3 dApp that allows you to use Wallet Connect, you can then kind of spoof the website into thinking that you're the owner of that address, right? So what you could do here is you just go into Connect Wallet, go into the Connect Wallet or the Wallet Connect, and then jump back over here and throw that in the Wallet Connect UI, right? And then go ahead and click Connect. It says you want to connect to app.icosa.pro, hit Connect. Awesome. Jump back over here, and now it thinks that I am that address, right? So one thing we'll see over here is under Hedron staking. This is basically why people would buy Poly, right? Is because Poly took in a whole lot of Hedron, 1.8 trillion, right? Hedron there, one of the biggest wallets in the ecosystem, and staked it. And it got a minimum stake of 360 days. It has now got 261 left. So it's been about 100 days since that point in time has happened. And so far as it accumulated 1.1 million Icosa in yield, right? Pretty awesome yield right there. So the idea is at the end, you're going to have a part of this pool. So it's kind of similar to like how you think about the Maximus pool. Like people had put in their hex and got a 1-for-1 back of Maximus, and then that is locked up in one big staking pool and kicked out Quattrocinco, so that at the end, in theory, you could just redeem your Maximus tokens for said hex and Hedron in return, right? Dude. So that everybody could kind of maximize in the bigger pays better was the biggest thing, and to deal with the high gas fees that may or may not happen at that point in time.
This is amazing. Can we be the Godwill?
Yes. All right. So if you want to be Godwill, you jump back over here. Let's hit disconnect. Let's refresh the page. Let's jump over here and refresh that.
Also, please drop that link in the private chat or on the chat so I can give it to people. This is really, really cool, everyone. Hope you're paying attention.
Sure.
This is really cool.
So we'll go in here. Okay, so Godwill has more than one address, right? He's got multiple. And every time I go down that rabbit hole, I super regret it because of the amount of assets this guy has.
Dude's a trillionaire.
Yeah. So here is one address that I've always found really interesting, and I tend to follow. So we're going to use this address. We'll jump back over here. Let's go ahead and use that Wallet Connect again. Copy that. Jump back over. Throw that in the UI. There we go. Connect. Yes, connect. All right. We are now Godwill. So here is one of Godwill's famous stakes. I believe this was his first and maybe his only. I'm not totally caught up to speed on all that. But 5.2 trillion staked. So this has got a 360-day minimum, obviously, and then it's served. It's got 159 left. So obviously it's served about 200. And right now it's at 7.6 million Icosa in yield so far. Super cool, right?
Dude,
It's insane.
I love this. Just because I just want to be as if I'm here at the computer screen. Can we do a go.hex.com and look at his stakes listed? I know we can do it here
you
too.
can just go right here.
I know, but I just the old school feeling of seeing it go.hex.com. I just love seeing that too.
Oh,
what he's looking at. Oh, it doesn't look right there.
Not an easy way because they don't have the wallet connect feature. It's just MetaMask.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. No worries.
So Alex put this into his DApp so that you can use wallet connect on it. But here's just a kind of a glimpse. These are all those stakes that he came in. I mean, when we were in the the Hedron ecosystem and we saw the Godwill going in and claiming his 10x multipliers. You can see them all right here. So it's just a nice little visual. And keep in mind, you can always just take this address and throw it into like stakehex.today, right? And then it'll basically show you the same thing. But this interface is it's fun because it looks like you're the owner, right? Yes. So it's kind of fun in that respect. But yeah, you can go through. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you click any of like the create, stake, mint, all, any of those functions, what happens when you're on this here? I've never seen this before, so I'm really curious.
Oh, this is just read only. So no, yeah. Mint all,
or it would fail, yeah, because you don't have the keys and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was curious as to where it would take you, what the endpoint would be. But cool, this is really cool.
Yeah, it's just a read only, just faking out the DApp is all. But yeah, this guy, he's got his own GitHub. He produces some stuff here and there, but I just thought it was fun, something fun to show you guys.
Godwill has GitHub?
What's that?
Godwill has a GitHub?
No, the guy who made Impersonator.
I was like, can we look at his GitHub? That would be amazing. I never heard of that. What does he produce? I definitely want to go through that. No, that was awesome, man.
Do you guys have any other address you want to see while we got it up? Chat? Anybody?
Yeah, anyone in chat? Let us know in the next 60 seconds or so. Yeah, every time I look at Godwill stuff, I always use Fatty, just like Kampachi says here. And it's pretty cool. But, I think this is the immersive experience of like, if you can be the Godwill or you can dream it like you're him. Amazing.
Yeah, and the Icosa yield part, right? So over here where you can see the Icosa yield, like you can also do the same thing on Hex Model, which if you go to the Icosa tab, shout out Dev Huey. He's a really good guy. I've had the privilege to talk to him quite a bit over the last month or so. So on this page, you'll have an opportunity where you can go and plug in an address as well, and it will give you yield information on what whatever wallet is you're looking for. So you want to be under Hedron staking, and then you could just throw in. Let's see, do I still have that available? Yeah, it's right here. So you just throw in the address. Nothing ever works live, does it?
The demo guys.
Oh, that's not the same one. Try that again.
I've got another address in the chat, by the way, from somebody. Whenever.
All right, let's do it.
Put in. Yeah.
That's not working, but it normally does. All right, let's try that one. So again, we will. All right, we disconnected. Got to refresh. It does not like that. All right, we throw that in, connect, copy clipboard, jump back over to here, paste it in there. Perfect. There it is. That's a good wallet. I like it.
Is that the other Godwill?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, that is a very large. Let's see, that's 1,000 million, 264 billion staked, 399,000 Icosa yield off of that, and then you've got 639,000 Icosa staked, and is accumulated over 1 million in Icosa and 16 billion in Hedron. Very nice. And then what's really cool too is what makes this dApp unique is if they have any WAATSAs, they will populate here too. So that's the only thing that you have to come to Alex's site if you want to see if a particular wallet has WAATSAs and the information on that, like the yield it gets from that. That's very unique to app.icosa.pro.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool, man. I love that Huey site too. It's so many great community resources that just it's beautiful, clean. I love white space. I love the charts and just the way it's laid out and very easy to look at. And yeah, if you can type in an address and stuff and see that, that's I would like to use that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, very cool. And then the only other thing I wanted to throw up, just a quick shout out to Ju Young and his new layout of HSI Watch. His colors tell this guy is a front end dev because he's got very nice visuals on here. But I just wanted to throw this out there real quick just to give him a shout out, and he's doing good work. Yep.
There's a Patreon for people if they want to support his work as well. Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't tell me because I had no idea what Impersonator was. But that's sweet.
It's super sweet.
Yep.
Scrolling on chat for a moment. Chat got a little rowdy. Had to tell him to be more polite. I think the mods took care of some of it too, but let's see. Scrolling.
Tiago says that was your address that we posted up there. I didn't know you were so loaded, Max.
Oh, my address. Oh, yeah. I thought it was saying it was his address. We gotta get our story straight.
It's mom. Sorry, it's mom's address. That's great.
Yeah. Yo, we gotta listen to Gift. The man has 3 beards.
That's right.
I just noticed, but yeah, that's a good point.
Normally,
the guy has 3 beards. It's very wise, I gotta say.
That's right. That's right. It's very unique.
Wow. Thanks for pointing that out. Nice. Let's see. Okay, here's one. How long do you guys think before full value on copied coins? Well, you framed that very interestingly. That's a presupposition there. There'll be full value. I think the common way of thinking about it is don't expect any of the ETH coins being copied over to look anything like the value they have on ETH on PulseChain because it's 2 different copies. You got to think about whether the projects there and their front ends are going to support PulseChain or not. If they're stable coins, there's that whole deal. The only thing that you could say there's a case for it having some value is Hex, right? Like that's the only one we know. Hex, maybe Hedron, stuff like that. We know there's a huge community behind it who have skin in the game for PulseChain. Those type of coins, you could say the copies will you would expect them to have value more than, for example, Mana on Decentraland, Chainlink, stuff like that, where we don't know if the devs are going to come over and support it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that.
Is there any, I guess that's a question too, is there any communities that you all know of that you would be like, oh, that would be easy, or you've heard of them coming over, you've heard of devs, any other community that come in PulseChain outside of the people building on it?
I mean, I've heard rumblings of the SHIB community, but I haven't really been looking for the other communities, if I'm being fully transparent. So I really don't know. I just hear rumblings. I don't know if the rumblings have any merit to them or not, but I have heard that the SHIB community has been fairly interested and active in engaging with PulseChain when it goes live.
Nice.
Anyone else heard that?
I've heard I feel like I've talked to other people who have said that as well. So yeah, I think who was it? Crypto Compassion, maybe. I did a stream with him a while back. I think he brought it up. Should people interested? But that was last year, so hopefully they're still around.
I hope so.
Believe.
Hey, the more the merrier, man. The more the merrier over there.
For sure. Projector Bot, tell me why PulseX is valuable. I bought it when Mainnet was close. Testnet is bullshit. It's nothing. It's an ETH clone. Literally ETH. TPLS and script running before loading. You want to take this one?
Why is PLSX valuable? Okay, so PLSX is valuable because it's Uniswap on steroids. Think about when the premier DEX on Ethereum launched. Everyone FOMO'd into it. Now, imagine when the premier DEX launches on a brand new chain that already has 160 plus and counting projects that they're already being built or have been built, plus the largest and one of the most enthusiastic and engaging communities in the world in crypto waiting for this. Imagine that going into Uniswap, waiting for that. Now, imagine that Uniswap token has a function built in within Uniswap to buy up the Uniswap token and then burn that token from the supply every time any transaction goes through the exchange. That seems like there's some value there as to what, especially if there's any moderate success in that major exchange. Oh, and another success point to the exchange. Imagine if Uniswap harvested all the liquidity on Ethereum that was with ETH pairs and brought it to one place so that it was the best place to transact. There was the probability of having the largest players be able to get the least amount of slippage. So you have even higher transaction fees is also increasing. So you're burning more of that token. What's that going to do to price? I think there's a lot of value to be had with PLSX. And I mean, there's a lot of resources out there. So I don't understand your animosity towards that particular. I mean, I'd like to hear you guys go off on the next point, but I mean, PLSX is easy to see in my opinion. There's just so many points to contend what you're saying or implying it's not.
Well, let me jump on a little bit because I never get to talk about PLSX.
Let's go.
I don't think
do a GIF. Bring it, GIF. Bring it.
Yeah.
But let me just put it this way: like when Uniswap came out, Uniswap V1, there was no token, right? There was no token for it. And people were using it, and Uniswap is arguably one of the greatest inventions in all of cryptocurrency, right? Like that was a huge innovation. And once they launched the actual token, what they did was they just airdropped it to everybody who was using it, right? Which was great, right? Like that's free money, right? Free money coming out to all the users. But there's no actual utility to the token, and it's not really tied to the Uniswap protocol at all, other than the fact that you can vote using the Uniswap token. But it doesn't matter because the founding crew has all the tokens anyway, so they could override and veto everything, right? And they've shown in the past that they're willing to do that. So the point being is that you're taking one of the most innovative features of all of cryptocurrency, and you're bringing in all the liquidity that is going to be in existence on this new network, and you're funneling it through this token. And not only are you using it to create pairs, and it's going to be the most liquid pair of pretty much everything, right up there with PLS, the native token itself. Now, but also you've got the burning feature and the buy and burn, right? You've got all these extra tokenomics that are just going to continue to drive value in that space. So if you look at PLSX and you don't see the value, you need to look at Uniswap a little bit closer and understand how that protocol works and how PLSX is going to leverage everything great about Uniswap and add more to it.
Mm-hmm. And if anything pumps on PulseX and FOMO occurs on anything, it drags up PLSX with it because of the buy and burn. And imagine at the beginning of an ecosystem where everybody's FOMOing on everything. And even if it's not PulseX, what do you think that's going to do to PulseX? It could potentially create an upward trend, and that could create FOMO, and that could create an upward spiral for PulseX as well. There's some really interesting mechanics that can happen through FOMO that directly impacts PulseX.
I think the only thing you guys didn't say was it's a Richard Hart product and he designs things to appreciate. So that's all I got.
Well, we were waiting for you to say that, RHMax. That's your job.
It's like, let him finish with that one trivial fact. Let him finish with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Small, fun, little. It's negligible. It's not super important, but you should know it.
Projector Box. You want to know why it's valuable? I think you got a picture now. Mark G, I'll be dead in 1 year. Please don't. Oh, 15. Okay, well, try. I mean, hopefully longer too. I think it's a 555 joke. I'm saying, but hopefully you're around for a long, long time, like all of us. Have you heard of the SINS Foundation on longevity research? We're trying to get that going. It's a little movement happening right now. Let's see. Icosa followed by Hex and Hedron kept pumping a little while. Icosa dropped. That's a question too before we get into, because I know I was telling been streaming too much lately. Selling graphics. You guys, Axis graphics, they are similar. That I was reading his, is it the T-Shares methodology, right? T-Shares methodology mini book on the airplane not too long ago. And I came across a page that was fascinating. And before I get into that, it's around Icosa. It's a question that's made me think of it. I wanted to ask our esteemed panel as well. I had a example scenario because I know a lot of people are bummed. Icosa price up and down, mostly down lately, blah, blah, blah. Let's say you have a 5555 HSI, and it's got 50K of hex in it. Worth at current prices, 3, 4K, whatever it is. You see that you can sell it to the contract for only like half of, what the hex is worth right now. Let's say it's like 1K, 2K, something like that. What are your options? Do you just wait till the Icosa price goes back up? If you were in that scenario, how would you handle it? Because I feel like a lot of people are in that position. A lot of people are like, oh, you did a video on graphics. You're like, hey, HSIs, you don't go make HSIs and expect to get the Icosa one-to-one value from it. That's not a great play. A lot of people are confused. So how would you handle that type of situation?
And just so I'm clear, sorry, I just got caught up in one of the comments. You're saying if someone has an HSI specifically?
Yeah.
Already?
So if they have an HSI, if they have a 15-year HSI, it's got, maybe 3 or 4K worth of hex in it. And then they can only sell it to the contract though for half that much, 50% haircut or something like that. What do they do? Do they just wait? Do they, they wait till Icosa goes back up? How do they handle that?
Well, I guess it would depend on their situation as to what options would make the most sense. I mean, I guess I would assume let's go for the assumption that they don't necessarily need to do anything with that right away. They don't need to extract value out of the HSI for the sake of like need it in the real world. There's about 3 options, and there's one of them is if let's just say all the options here, because there really is 3 with everything where it is right now. One is to go on like OpenSea or Hex Marketplace and to put that HSI up for bidding to extract value from it. That way you can sell it. It won't hurt the Hex price. You'll get your money and you can go do whatever you want with it. And you could maybe even go buy the Icosa that you wanted, or whatever, like you do whatever you want with it. The second play, and this is still not 15 years. This is less, but you could just wait, because especially if, let's assume that you did get an HSI through the auctions and you got a deal on it. You still got a deal on that base amount of hex, right? So in 7.5 years, when you're done 50% at stake, you can unstake that. You don't have to wait the full 15 years to get the base value that you saved 50, 60, 70% on. If you get the yield and you wait longer, sure, that's amazing, but you're still getting the deal on the future value of that base hex, right? And then finally, I guess it's just patience. Honestly, like Icosa and Hedron with hex as a system, and Hedron is pretty much finished its distribution phase of coins, and or on the last stages, I'll say. I think Icosa is still somewhere. I don't know where to pinpoint Icosa's coin distribution phase with all the inflation that's coming up right now. Be curious to see what happens with a lot of these HSIs that maybe haven't been recycled, or the HSIs that may be more valuable in the future for recycling through the auctions. But really, patience is the name of the game, because that HSI still holds value no matter what. Like if there's a point where it actually makes sense to ever use the HSI buyback function to get Icosa, it's probably because the Icosa price is close to ceiling, right? So what that means is, yes, you're getting less Icosa tokens than you would then in the future than you will now when the price is at ceiling. You're going to get the same value though. Like the tokens and value that you get in Icosa, they're less tokens, but they're the same in the value that you could extract relative to what the HSI is. Like that's what that ceiling price is. There's a point of relativity there between them. So patience is the other name of the game, of waiting. And maybe I missed some stuff, but yeah, GIF, fill me in where I missed, because I went on a little bit of a tangent there. So
yeah, the commentary on the Icosa struggle is real.
No, that's fine. I think one thing to keep in mind when you're making an HSI is you're still making a hex stake. You're still making a promise with, like you're signing an agreement with a decentralized protocol, right? And
chastity
it's like the
contract,
truth
if you will.
engine. Yeah, it's like a truth engine. So what sometimes could happen is, you know, people might get all wrapped up in the idea that, oh, well, I've got all these options with HSI, so I'm just going to max length stake everything, right? It's like, okay, yeah, but we have cycles in cryptocurrency. We have very obvious cycles. And you, just because you have the ability to move them around, sell them on OpenSea, sell them to the contract, does not mean that you still can't get wrecked in the process, because you can. So you need to be aware of that, and you still need to stick to like the first hex principles of, like, you know, knowing your cycles, knowing your risk tolerance, knowing how long, you know, I'm a big fan of ladders. I always have been. And just because HSIs came out does not mean that my ladders stopped getting built. Like, I still build my ladders, and I still time when those come out, right? So I just think that's important to know. And, you know, going back and doing a lot of calculations on especially the first day that Icosa launched, and like selling HSIs to get a piece of Icosa and get that staked. And yeah, if you look at, you know, your dollar gain in Icosa with the yield, right? And it's like, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, I've doubled my yield. I've got twice the amount of Icosa. It's like, okay, but did you go back and look at that HSI that you sold? What was the value of that HSI at the time? What is the value of that HSI today compared to the Icosa you got, and all the yield added up? And how are you sitting in that scenario, in that trade? Like, I think it's important that I'm a data guy. I like to collect as much data as I can, and not try to jump to conclusions and just let time tell me, you know, if I made the right decision or not. Just keep in mind that there's a lot of plays to be made, and there is no one size fits all for everybody, even though we all try to look for it sometimes.
Well said.
Well said. Speaking of that, Icosa staking strategies, just wanted to hit this too. I told Graphics that it was just something that when I read it, I was just like, huh, this would be interesting to talk about too. And so I'll just read a paragraph real quick. Icosa staking strategies, this is again from the T-shares methodology book that Graphics wrote and published, well, at least in PDF. He has another book that he published on Amazon that you should look at and read as well. But this one, when it comes to staking Icosa, you're earning both Hedron and Icosa tokens. What I'd like you to do is ignore anything to do with price for this segment, as we're only speaking in value relative to the hex system and specifically the T-share. Your Icosa principal token amount is increasing in redemption value relative to the number of T-shares it was originally purchased for. Secondarily, you're earning an ever-increasing percentage of future T-shares in the form of Icosa yield per token earned per day. Finally, you're earning future redeemable T-shares in the form of Hedron for every 5,555,000 Hedron tokens you earn should the price of Hedron be at or hit its ceiling. If you choose to restake the Hedron you earned in the meantime as you wait for the ceiling price to be hit, you're earning even more Icosa. Using this logic, moving from Hex to Icosa as soon as possible is the most optimal way to lock in T-shares at the lowest rate you could possibly get and grow your number of T-shares over time, even without staking. So, at least in part of this, I took away, I think one of the takeaways I had from reading this section too was, and again, you can do the nuance and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I believe you're making a case that either Icosas or HSIs could be a superior play. So do you want to talk about, does that make sense from what I recollect too and what I read? Like, can I explain your logic on that?
Yeah. So originally the logic, and it's funny, I actually pulled this down, not for the reason of it was incorrect or anything. It's just, I felt that I didn't have enough time to think about, could ceiling price drop off? What happens within the ecosystem when the ceiling price caves, and how does the game get played at that point? So it kind of worked out that it was off, because if I were to spend more time on it, I mean, I'd need to write another 20 pages or more to really come up with everything that would need to be there to adequately cover all the bases. But what I was referring to there, so what we can assume here, I guess in this conversation, is that everything we're talking about is only intact and reasonable to talk about when the ceiling prices are in effect, right? Or when we're assuming that the ceiling prices are intact. So when the ceiling price is intact, the Icosa, the amount of Icosa that is redeemable for an HSI is going down every day, and the ceiling price is going up every day, even by a small amount. That means if you hold 240 Icosa, let's say in the beginning, there was like 250 or 240 something Icosa. Now it's like 220 something. That means that amount of Icosa, if the ceiling price had been intact, has increased like in 10% or like 15% in value against a T-share, right? So Icosa in itself is at the ceiling price, is actually redeemable within the system for more T-shares than it originally was able to be redeemed for. So it's an interesting thing when the ceiling price exists. And now there may be a case for where I don't know if we'll ever fully lock in the ceiling price like at a permanent basis. That's a hard case to make. There's no nuance to that kind of logic, and life happens and cycles happen and who knows. But when these ceiling prices are hit, there's ways to look at Icosa and Hedron in terms of T-shares that can allow you to grow your T-shares at the ceiling price instead of just trying to play the hex game where you're only able to retain your T-shares at best if you're restaking your hex over and over and you're never taking any profits with the interest or the principal or anything like that.
So at the ceiling price, you could be able to get more T-shares with Hedron and Icosa than HSIs or native staking. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, when I read that, I was like, we need to talk about that further. People read your stuff, man. You got some good stuff.
Actually, so Hedron and Icosa are two different animals, actually. So Hedron is actually different. So Hedron is only redeemable for a static number of T-shares. If you buy, let's say 100 million Hedron, right, you divide that by 5.555 million, and it will only ever be worth a static amount of T-shares. No matter what the price of Hedron does in the ceiling, it will always be worth the same amount. Like I think it did a while ago, a chart, and it was like, I had bought on paper 42 T-shares, and for 15 years, no matter what the T-share rate did, it was still only ever redeemable for 42 T-shares in the future. And Icosa went from 40 or whatever to like hundreds of T-shares over the course of 15 years or more. It was
okay. So Icosa versus HSI's native staking. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's 3 beasts. So that's why Hedron's cool, because, and to go into the auction idea and to tie that in, it's like Hedron is at the ceiling price the way to get T-shares. Now there's 2 ways to do it. If Hedron is close to its ceiling price, it's okay, because you're probably going to be able to use close to the minimum bid to get an HSI stake. That's basically the same as exchanging your hex or your Hedron for hex at the ceiling. But if that doesn't work, exchanging Hedron for hex when it's near at the ceiling is when you can basically redeem for a max length T-share, or so basically a third of it, whatever the T-share rate is, which if you stake at max length is always a T-share, right? You can always redeem it for 1/3 of the T-share rate at the ceiling, right? So 5.555 million Hedron can always be viewed as a T-share at the ceiling in 2 different ways.
Gotcha. Any commentary on that, GIF?
Yeah, let me kind of attack it from a different angle here.
For sure, yeah.
Here, let me share this for you. Okay, so one thing that I was watching very closely at the launch of Icosa was its relation to the T-share, right? Because we see it so often in all the calculations. And, you know, I've often mentioned, so sorry to be a broken record, but like the only chart that looks better than the hex price chart is the T-share price chart. Like the T-share price chart has done ridiculous returns. So like when hex did a 10,000x, the T-share rate did a 15,500 something like that x, right? So the T-share price outperformed hex price, right? Mm-hmm. And so you look at the calculations and you say, okay, so we got the T-share price in here a lot, and technically it's in the form of a B-share, right? Because just of the how Hedron comes into existence and how that plays into how much you can borrow, and thus how much Icosa you can get for trading in HSI, right? So because of that, I started tracking the B-share and the Icosa price and comparing those two. And at the beginning, I had no idea. You know, it's just collecting data. It's like you can't get this chart anywhere. Now, thanks to me learning a little bit of coding, I've accomplished something that I'm very, very proud of. So this here is not a chart that I manually created. This is pulling data from 2 different APIs, and it's compiling them into one chart, all scripted in JavaScript, right? So finding an historical Icosa price chart that you're not getting from a actual exchange does not exist currently. So I'm pretty proud of that, right? I put this together. So we've got the Icosa price, and it's tracking the B-share. Okay. So this is showing the relationship between the Icosa and the B-share prices. So this starts at October 9th. And yes, I know this should go back to August 15th-ish, 13th-ish, something like that. But I'm dealing with some developer issues, right? So we're starting here at October 9th. And what you'll see here is this is what the relationship was doing when they were actually at the ceiling price, right, of Icosa. So November 15th, was it? Somewhere around here. This is when the auction started. So as you can see here, very healthy price for Icosa. And what I think was really what that was reflecting was the demand for Icosa. Because at that point in time, the only way you could get Icosa was turning in your HSI, right? So you couldn't, you weren't taking any yield because it hasn't been 30 days yet. And the auctions weren't open, so you couldn't do any arbitrage off of getting cheap HSIs and then automatically flipping them for Icosa. So this was one of the reflection points where, when I was asked before the auctions opened up, if I ever saw a moment where it would break away from the ceiling, and I said it on 100% uptime, I was like, yeah, when the auctions open up, there is an opportunity for this to break, and not really break, but break away from the ceiling price. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what we saw happen. And you'll see it playing with that B-share price. And now, given in this whole time period here, Hex price was going down, right? So the B-share price was going down with it. And then when you start to see Hex build momentum, you'll see this little play again, where the Icosa price will come up and it'll touch that B-share price. It'll touch it, and then it'll try to absorb it. You see a little bit of absorbing here, trying to collect itself. But when Hex runs, right, because of the supply shock, because of how much Hex has been locked up and kicked down the road, it turns into its own beast. And to expect any token to keep up with that is a little ludicrous, because we've seen what Hex can do, right? And that's exactly what happened. The B-share price broke out, and Icosa could not keep up. And keep in mind, when you're looking at Icosa and the Hex, and you're looking at prices and you're looking at diversification and that sort of a thing, keep in mind that without Hex, Icosa would not exist and Hedron would not exist. The vice versa is not true, right? So when you've got a whole community that is supportive of Icosa and Hedron, and we're all about it. We're all about the tech. We're all about everything that's happening and all the innovations and all of that stuff. When Hex starts running, all the Hexicans, they feel that FOMO and they're like, do I have enough Hex? All right, what do I have at my disposal? What can I sell for more Hex? Well, everybody's got some Hedron. Everybody's probably got some Icosa. And you start to see those funds funnel its way right back into Hex, which is great for the ecosystem. Now, is this going to always be this way? Time will tell. I will continue to collect the data, and we'll just have to wait and see. But it is quite dramatic what the B-share can do, especially when you reflect and you say the B-share price chart is superior to the Hex price chart.
Wow.
What do you think? I know that was a lot. That was a mouthful, but
no, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, I think what's cool is you could see how well it tracks that. And I don't know what it will take for Icosa to start up and track again to the B-share price like it was doing, and eventually get back to that original differentiation it had between the B-share price. I don't know if that's even possible, but you're making a lot of good points. We'll see. I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had around what it could take which is a whole nother like 2, 3, 4, 5 hour stream to go down those rabbit holes and explore all the avenues there. But I think you made a lot of good points, and who knows? We'll see what happens. I think it's going to happen eventually to a degree. I just don't know which degree it's going to happen to. So I guess to tie that into what we were talking about originally, if I had seen what had happened prior to the auctions, I probably would have, I might not have written it, but I probably wouldn't have displayed it so openly. And there's a reason why I didn't make a video for it too, because I knew it was like kind of like, it's out there. It's just a way of thinking about things more so than an actual strategy to try and maximize the hex system. It's like, you keep portions, whatever you have on the side, just keep this in mind. 5.555 million Hedron at the ceiling is redeemable here. And at the ceiling price for Icosa, the Icosa you have is technically going up in value at that ceiling price. So keep this on the side, wait for opportunities. And if it ever prevents itself, then you have that option. But right now, we're so far off. So we're a ways off, as you can see by the chart. Great chart, by the way. Everything looks awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Excellent job, Giff. Yeah. No, graphics, it's I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like we are doing science here. Like, I mean, at least all the people who are really studying this stuff, it's like you have theories, you have strategies, you have methods, and then you go out and test them. And some of them are, correct at a certain time and place, and some of them depend on other factors. And no, that's innovation, man. I love this stuff.
It's fun. That's why I love this system. It's just with Hex, Hedron, Icosa, there's just so much to explore. It makes your brain feel like it's expanding all the time.
My brain expands on 100% uptime, Hedron style with you guys. Yeah. I'm going to wrap up here. It's getting dinner time for me as well. Just want to, I'm going to take 2 more questions. Sorry, everyone who's posted. I know chat's going nuts. Appreciate you guys. I want to hit on this because Tiago Nunez posted some good stuff today. I wanted to address this real quick. Max, I'm convinced mainnet should come the first week of April. Uni V3 also be open source on the first. I think RH will try to have first mover advantage. I just don't see it. I mean, I could totally be wrong. I think RH wants to get PulseChain out soon. I think I see the urgency with testnet. He wanted to get something live. I don't think that was just to appease the community, because if that was the case, why didn't you get it out 6 months ago if he wanted to really not have people mad at him? So I think that he is people, I've never agreed with him timing the market. And a lot of it you could say, okay, huge delay with BSC fork in the ETH 2.0. That took a lot more time. Maybe as expected, maybe it wasn't. I don't think he's been sitting there for 2 years saying, I don't think in 2021 he's like, all right, we're going to launch in mid-May 2023. I don't think that's what he did before. However, maybe he sees something now. Maybe he sees an opportunity, local timing. Maybe that'd be a cherry on top for the launch as well for us. So I don't think he's going to do Uni V3. I don't think he wants to delay things and more PulseX testing. I think he's going to try to get to mainnet as soon as possible. And that could be 2 months, 3 months, could be 6 months. We don't know. However, I think going to Uni V3 would delay things further. And he said before, and I've clipped it many times, some of them be coming out later this year. Some of them I think are already out before on the channel for the vintage clips of him talking about the Uni V2 pumpamentals. He likes, putting up stuff on both sides. He thinks that could be good for different pairs. Maybe there's, I don't think he showed us all the tricks up his sleeve yet. So I don't think he'll wait around for that and do that with PulseX, my personal opinion. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't, I like the time frame. I like the time frame of April, like I do. I don't think it has anything to do with the Uniswap. The licensing coming up to do. And what's interesting is, back in May, right? The mid-May call, like that was right around the time that there were some huge improvements to the beacon chain and like the ETH 2.0 coming through. So I would not be surprised if it was ready to go and the devs are like, wait, guys, we should probably wait for this to launch first so we can utilize all this great code that is coming out on Ethereum 2.0 and kind of leverage that. It would not surprise me if that's why mid-May never actually happened. But to go back to the Uniswap version, I mean that could be updated at any time. So he could launch tomorrow, and then when the licensing is up, he could update and throw in V3. So I don't think it's too dependent on the actual launch. That's my opinion, though.
Well, I've said before too, it could be an upgrade. Like I said, I think we'll launch V2, and then later on, if he decides that that's the route to go, or maybe there's another DEX, maybe there's 2 DEXs, I don't know. And then, you know, with different fundamentals and stuff, maybe he'll be like, oh, by the way, PulseChain's getting an upgrade, Uni V3 type of thing. I know the salesman in him will know exactly how to do it and sell it and make it positive. But yeah, what do you think, Graphics?
I just don't see. I'm with Giff. It's like it's an upgrade. You know, you can do it whether it's launched or at any point, really. So I think it's more along the lines of: is it ready? Is it done? Is it perfect? Is it going to be in like exponential growth ready? And I mean, look, I think that we could see it. Well, even wanting to say like we could see it soon. It's like I don't know what's going on under the hood. I have to say I believe every single time because I don't understand the technology to agree where I can understand even how long it takes for most of these fixes to go on. So these guys that have like RH and GIF, they have more experience in the dev side and the actual coding side than I do. So I'm just a speculator. I hope for the best, but I mean, I'd be thrilled if it came out by mid-May of this year because that seems close enough for me where it's ample time to get everything possible, test it, redo things, you know, in 2 months. If we're really that close already, you know, we only have 4, 5, 6 smallish fixes to do, but I don't see us being, it seems really soon to me. It seems very soon to be like a 2-week away kind of event.
2 weeks from Mainnet?
I mean,
from now to Mainnet. So that way, so basically like Mainnet should come in the first week because first week of April is literally 2 weeks away or short of 2 weeks away. So.
Well,
okay.
I would say I like kind of to echo like what I was saying earlier about the timeframes. I think this is just an assembly period. Like they're just assembling all the code together. Like, and then you saw the tweet about, you know, RH was asking, you know, how to, you know, effectively deal with V3 liquidity if they were to deploy it. And Alex jumped in there with some good ideas, right? So
I didn't see that, but I will definitely look for it though.
Yeah, you should look at that little thread and read Alex's response. He's got a very thoughtful response on how you can handle the V3 liquidity and how you would basically just look at the second to last tick on Uniswap instead of just grabbing the last one. Anyways, I'll butcher it. Read through it on your own. Great response, and you know, dude, this is an exciting period, man. Like we could very well see a mainnet not long after 2 weeks. Like we could until I see more evidence that we couldn't, that they're not just in an assembly phase like I think they are right now. You know, it's just we'll see. I'm excited.
I've been scared by the bugs, and not. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm not fully buying into the 2 weeks yet. I hope I'm wrong, of course, but I just think that I don't know. I could see they're in assembly phase, but I think that you saw how long it took. Oh, Aragon things not syncing and all this stuff. I just feel like there's going to be some of those hiccups, and they're going to have to fix some stuff, or they're and PulseChain or PulseX not being, you know, fully complete and functional, or having issues here and there. I just think they need time. I don't think it's any problems. I just think they need. I don't know. In my mind, I'm pushing out 2 months. I'm doing mid-May. In my mind, but
I like that too.
Boy, if it comes in 2 weeks, I hope you two are. I hope we replay this and we're like, GIF and the graphics, they crystal balled it. But I don't know. I can't do it. I can't buy into it right now. But
Not
hopefully
yet.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm pretty bad with predictions. I mean, so I highly doubt we'll come back to this stream and be like, GIF was right on that prediction. But
people are making financial decisions based on what we just said. No, do not do that. Do not do that. All right, guys.
I see Larry finally showed up right at the very end. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Lawrence.
Go for graphics if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So, Mark G, to answer your question, and I'm going to be brief about this. Look, no, I made a tweet that was out of frustration that was over a much longer period of time than a single tweet. It was over a series of months, probably close to a year, of watching someone that I really, really wanted to see him lead in a way that was impactful and had the capability of being highly impactful. And he went on a direction that I could not support, morally. I didn't like to see it. I didn't like the way he was speaking to people. There's actually some tweets that I won't even bring up that I was like, I couldn't believe another human said what he had said to other people. It actually really bothered me. And so when he made that tweet, it was small. It was a tiny little thing, but it bothered me. And I was like, you know what? If you, and maybe I said it in a way that was all just rage and anger and just frustration. I didn't say it perfect, but I did feel that I needed to make a statement at that point. And he has turned around and he's stepped back into who he was or who he is, which I knew from the beginning. And that's why it was so frustrating, because I saw who he was before and I saw what he did and I saw the amount that he cared. And so it bothered me. And to see him turn around now is amazing, which is why I'm supporting him again verbally. I've never stopped supporting his products. His products are the best in the crypto space. He is the best founder I've ever seen as far as his knowledge and what he's able to build. He's built the best community. You can't say anything about him at this point that's not good. He had a phase that you could even argue worked, but I just couldn't support personally. And now that he's flipped that, I have no problem with saying his name. I think he does doing an amazing job. So look, I hope you can understand that. I think that's pretty reasonable. And we can disagree and we can have, and all of us can have different opinions on this too. That's the thing that I think I would love to see more of, is allowing people to have their opinions and saying, I respectfully disagree. That doesn't mean I hate you as a human being. That doesn't mean I have to backlash endlessly on every single thing you post. It doesn't mean I have to waste my time, and your time to just keep bringing up old stuff that is not helping you or me or anyone else that sees it. That's all I have on that front.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I've shaken my head a couple times on RH tweets. Even I remember when you said what you did there. I was just like, yeah, I get it. Even when you did, I was like, I get it. I kind of let it slide off my back, but I get it. You know what? It frustrated you. I'm sure it frustrated a lot of people. So he's humble Richard now. He's playing this phase, and I think we all like that and needed a break from outrage marketing. And yeah, I'm glad it's different now for sure for everyone. I think so. Yeah, and for him too, because I think when some of these bigger entities look to Hex and they see who the name is, seeing a guy who's professional, even as the image, right? Like as the image of professional, as the image of what he's got on his profile, everything looks professional and clean. Like that's going to speak volumes. It's going to speak volumes. I've spoken to guys that just they either know people, they are people who like all of us do. And I'm sure we all have similar stories in this room. I'm not alone. I'm not anyone special, but like many of us know guys who know guys or know guys directly who either are in big money or know guys that have big money. And what I heard personally was they don't want to touch anything that has a guy that looks like he's a clown or looks like he's scamming people. And whether it looks that way and it's the truth that we know it is, or it actually is, like there's no way to know that from an outside perspective. Doesn't know anything about Hex. So that's why it's so important, in my opinion, for him to step back into this and to own the era that's about to happen and bring the opportunities towards him and towards Hex that can come now he's got this new image. Definitely some trade-offs that were made there in the last few years of going back and forth on personas for sure. Agree. Last question I just want to get to, Steve D. What's a good waterfall ladder, game theory, Icosa laddering? Anybody named GIF want to speak to that real quick?
Yeah, awesome.
The king of waterfall. The king of waterfall.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, when you talk about ladder and waterfall, it's a pretty sweet kind of method that you can use or strategy you can use. One, if you really start crunching the numbers, I think when you're talking about Icosa laddering, that 180-day minimum stake length is really juicy. Like using that and like laddering that out. So like you just picture a whole list of stakes, just like you would your Hex stakes. Like look at your Hex stake ladder. You've got these all laddered out to end certain days. And then on your Icosa one, you have it to where, maybe every month, maybe every 2 weeks, one of your Icosa stakes, the minimum length that the minimum stake length has matured, and you can now unstake it, do what you want with it, restake it to compound, whatever you want. so that way every 2 weeks you're having an opportunity to make adjustments based on what the market sentiment is, what your financial situation is, that sort of a thing. Especially when you look at the chart I showed you on the B-share Icosa chart, there are still, like, we're going to have volatility, which is fantastic. That is a fantastic quality to have, right? So you want to be a little bit nimble is all my recommendation is in general when it comes to crypto, is you want to be a little bit nimble. That's why I love staking ladders, and there's no reason why you can't do that with Icosa and utilize that waterfall method.
Fantastic, guys. Excellent stream. I think we should wrap up on that. Great stream. Another amazing episode of 100% Uptime, number 18. Has it been that many? 2 times these guys have been on here together. I learned that myself today. And man, hopefully, certainly, I hope it won't be the last one. You guys rock. All stars in the community. Love chatting with you. I love learning, and I'm sure everyone else does too. GIF graphics. What do you want to take us out on? Any hopium? Any dim feels? 2 weeks till launch. They got me a little bit excited. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Oh man, honestly, I've got nothing. I'm just excited. Just keep all I gotta say is keep the excitement going. The more we can spread the excitement that we all have for PulseChain, the more it's going to reach more eyes, more ears, and we're going to get virality. Well, we're more likely to get virality sooner. Just keep getting stoked. Keep sharing that excitement with everybody.
Yeah, I would say embrace volatility. Volatility is the price you pay for the world's greatest appreciating asset. Right?
Somebody said that once.
So learn to embrace it, and don't forget. Somebody said that once. It's a pretty big quote, right? And it's very true today too. It's very true. And try not to take all this way too seriously. Enjoy the ride. Like we see new things in crypto happening every day in our ecosystem with people that we know. And don't forget that, man. Don't forget to stop and just enjoy, embrace what's going on, because there will be a day where it might not be this exciting again.
Stop and smell the money printers, if you will.
That's right.
I love that. Right. Stop and smell the money printers. Oh my God.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, go buy Graphics' book. It's on Amazon. Damn, you got to tell me the title again. There, oh, he brought it. Crypto Investors Practical Handbook. There you go. It used to be Crypto Bible. Now it's Crypto Investing Practical Handbook. Excellent content. I've referenced it on several streams already. You can get the ebook. You can get the real book. You can download it off the website, all that stuff. If you get it, leave a 5-star review if you love it. We got to pump those numbers up to get the people excited when they're looking for crypto stuff on Amazon. And at Crypto Graphics, is that right? At all caps on Twitter, I think it's your handle.
And that book is also free on my website as well for the PDF version, which is all the same thing. And actually, the PDF is nice because it blows up nice and big with all the images. So start there.
You could do that, and then get a print copy to put on your bookshelf. Looks great. Great Christmas gift for the crypto curious family coming up in about 8 months. So don't forget, or just buy a bunch now and just save them. I do that sometimes actually. Giverware, where can people find you?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter if you want. I haven't been super active lately because I've basically been in here coding 4 to 6 hours a day, every day. Right. 5 days a week, and it's
he has excuses and he has receipts. I get it.
But you can follow me there. You can probably find me on Telegram too. I'm occasionally on Reddit. All the same name.
All the same name. All right, everyone. Scivive and 5555. We are out.